He's Hacker.
Talk about a fried egg. I lasted about 5 minutes out there. I said, to heck with this. I'll do this in the morning. And I don't have any inside information. The lady that did it, she got in there. She made it happen.
And he doesn't shy away from opinion.
And I do enjoy drinking cold beer at ballparks. So if that makes me a baseball fan, then I'm a diehard baseball fan.
It's Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
And a very good Wednesday evening to you, Jacksonville. It is Hacker After Dark, in for Blue on this Wednesday on 1010XL and 92.5 FM with Dylan Denmark, the Hacker Ryan Green with you. As always, we are glad you are spending part of your Wednesday evening with us, a Wednesday that finds us that much closer to Super Bowl 59. Now, we haven't talked a lot about the Super Bowl, obviously with everything going on with the Jacksonville Jaguars, but we will branch out into a little Super Bowl conversation, if you will, as we get into tonight's program and certainly tomorrow and Friday, as Patrick Mahomes looks to make history, right? No quarterback. Andy Reid looking to make history. No head coach, obviously, have won back-to-back-to-back Super Bowls. No team has ever done it. Kansas City looking to become the first to three-peat in the National Football League. Quite the storyline if they're able to do it. Philadelphia, to me, is probably the better team on paper. I think if you do a schoolyard pick'em, your top 10 players on the Eagles and the Chiefs combined, I would guess probably 6 or 7 of those top 10 would probably be Philadelphia Eagles. Yet, man, I just don't know if I can pick against Patrick Mahomes. I just don't think I can do it. So we'll talk a little Super Bowl. But certainly we're going to spend a majority of the first hour, at least the first 90 minutes of the program, talking about the Jacksonville Jaguars. 1 month ago, the season ended, and absolutely stunning how much can transpire in 1 month's time. So we'll kind of do a recap of the month that has been with your Jacksonville Jaguars. Guest lineup tonight looks like this. My buddy Leon Searcy, hear him every day on Prime Time. We get him weekly here on Hacker After Dark. Leon will join me in less than 15 minutes. We'll talk a little Liam Cohen. We'll talk about his former teammate Tony Baselli being the EVP now of football operations here with Jacksonville. We'll talk to Leon about the direction he wants to see his team go, a former team go, with the general manager, the offensive coordinator. And, of course, we will talk a little Super Bowl, so Leon Searcy joins us in less than 15 minutes. Denmark, as we start off tonight's program, I did have a parent-teacher conference today for Little Hack, 5-year-old Little Hack, and told me a lot of good things about him.
But
a lot of positive things. Really enjoy having him in class, and he's doing a good job, and this, that, and the other. But apparently he talks a little too much.
I can't imagine.
And when they're going over this with me, I'm just getting absolute daggers stared at me through my wife, Heidi. So, I can't really be mad at the young man. He got it honest, didn't he? I tend to talk. It's what I do. It's what I do for a living.
Is an ass.
Well, thank you, Jeff Prosser. I certainly appreciate that. But the bottom line is, if I'm getting called for parent-teacher conferences when he's 5, I don't know what's going to happen when he's 12, 15, even 18 years old. Good grief. But just got to tell the young man to not talk as much. Kind of tone it down. If he's at a 10, I need him at about a 6 or a 7. I'll work on that. Maybe I'll work on that for myself as well. I know Denmark, of all people, would certainly appreciate that. Every night here on Hacker After Dark, we do kick it off with a big deal of the night and Dylan Denmark. Let's do that right now.
Time now for the big deal of the night.
What's the big deal?
What is the big deal? No, because it is a big deal.
On Hacker After Dark.
Yeah, it's a big deal because it's kind of a milestone, if you will, when you look on the calendar. Today is February 5th. Go back to January 5th. 1 month ago today, the Jacksonville Jaguars were losing, just another heartbreaker, right? Finding a way to lose the game in the fourth quarter to the Indianapolis Colts in Week 18 to cap off a 4-13 season. And at that point, 1 month ago, we knew there would be change, or at least we expected there would be change, probably significant change. We did not know, though, how it was going to happen. The roller coaster that the last month has been for pretty much everybody, right? fans, media, within the organization. It's been sort of a bumpy ride for the last month. You think about the day after the final game, Doug Peterson getting fired, but Shad Khan announcing Trent Baalke would remain. And the dark side of the Jaguar fan base came out. The venom of Jaguar Nation came out when that statement was released. Holy moly. There are some Jaguar fans, probably some of you that I'm talking to right now, that went to a dark place football-wise when you found out Trent Baalke was going to remain here as the general manager. All right? So then you fast forward a couple of weeks, all the talk about Ben Johnson. We knew they interviewed 10 guys for the head coaching job. Everybody here wanted Ben Johnson until Ben Johnson, in the middle of the night, 48 hours after his Detroit Lions get eliminated, without even an in-person interview, signs on the dotted line with the Chicago Bears. And the thought was, Trent Baalke cost us Ben Johnson. What are we doing? Then 48 hours after Ben Johnson took the Bears job, Liam Cohen announces he is taking his name out of the running and returning to Tampa. And that's when it absolutely hit the fan. For about 4 or 5 hours, it hit the fan. You know how I know that? Because it was roughly 4 hours after Liam Cohen made that announcement that Trent Baalke was relieved of his duties as Jaguar general manager. Much to the happiness, to the excitement, and to the joy of Jaguar fan base far and wide, Northeast Florida and beyond, Trent Baalke was gone. But Liam Cohen had taken his name out of the running. 24 hours later, Liam Cohen is, if you listen to people in Tampa, secretly coming to interview for the Jacksonville Jaguar job. He accepts that job 48 hours after Baalke's dismissal. And Liam Cohen has now been the head coach for the last 12 days. Then he starts putting a staff together from Anthony Campanile, a defensive coordinator, to Spencer Whipple, to guys that they're bringing in. Still no OC, still no general manager. That's in the works. But then as recently as this week, on Monday, Tony Baselli is announced as the executive vice president of football operations for the Jacksonville Jaguars. And now, here we are 1 month later, and you do one of these, right? You kind of take a deep breath, and you think back on what a month, right? 30-plus years of Jaguar football. 30-plus years. And one would argue that this last month, one of, if not the craziest months in the history of the Jaguar organization. Certainly in the conversation for the craziest. But you know what I see when I look back at the last month? I see that word again that I've used a lot over the last couple of weeks. I see that word hope. There was no hope at the end of the 2024 season when Doug Peterson and Trent Baalke and the status quo was here. There was no hope for that 16-day period when Doug Peterson was gone, but Trent Baalke remained. And even though they're bringing in guys that might not have enough experience for some likings, they might not be exactly who we wanted. It was a roller coaster to get here. It was not a perfect scenario. There were a lot of issues over the last month. But you look at where it's landed a month after the season ended. Here we are on February the 5th. And I think the fan base, once again, I think you, the hardworking men and women of Northeast Florida that support this football team and have so for a long time, I think you got hope. Now, is that me looking at it from a glass half full point of view? Perhaps. And you know what? Come September, if they start out 0-3 or 1-4 or heaven forbid 0-5, then we're going to be having a vastly different conversation. The narrative at that point will certainly change. And I'm not trying to be sunshine and rainbows guy. I'm not trying to be glass half full guy. But what I'm telling you is this. What was going on here was not working. You know why it wasn't working? You know why we know it wasn't working? Because they went 5-18 in the last 23 games that they played. It was not working. Something had to change. People had to change. And to Shad Khan's credit, he finally realized that. So whether you want to support the new regime or not, whether you want to say I'm being too glass half full or too sunshine and rainbows or too fluffy or whatever you want to call me, what I know is this. What was here beforehand was not working. That was established. We don't know if it's going to work with Liam Cohen. We have no idea. But we can hope that it works. Because we had lost all hope when it was the status quo as recently as a month ago. Offensive coordinator search still ongoing, although I would think that's going to happen sooner rather than later. General manager search as well. Let's talk about all of it. Let's talk about the last month. Let's talk about Tony Boselli. And let's do that with one of Boselli's former teammates, my buddy Leon Searcy. You hear him every day on Primetime. We're lucky enough to have him every week here on Hacker After Dark as we look back on the month that was and the future that will be now that Liam Cohen is the head coach of your Jacksonville Jaguars. Leon Searcy joins me next on a Wednesday evening in Jacksonville, Florida. It's Hacker After Dark in for Blue right here on 1010XL and on 92.5 FM.
1010XL.
It's only about winning.
Oh, look at this. Goes deep. How about that? Touchdown. Here's Tebow. How about that? Touchdown, Florida. The legend is expanding.
Where we win together.
Awaken 180 weight loss. Awaken 180 weight loss. Hacker here. And, we're coming up on the year anniversary that I started with Awaken 180. I know the exact date. It was February 20th, 2024. And at that point, I weighed 317 pounds. I was in a bad way. Those of you that watch the stream every night, that watched me, that watched videos that I did, you knew how bad it was. I was massively overweight. So I got on Awaken 180. What did I have to lose, right? I was losing hope. Awaken 180 provided me some hope. I saw what Matt Hayes and Mike Dempsey did on that program. And now here we are a year later. I'm down over 100 pounds thanks to the best weight loss program I've ever been on. I can tell you anything about Awaken 180. All you have to do is look at a photo of me last February, look at a photo of me today. That's all thanks to Awaken 180 weight loss. If it's time for you to lose weight like it was for me, go to awaken180weightloss.com.
Frank Frangie here. It's new year, new truck time at Nimnik Buick GMC, home of the largest inventory of GMC Sierras in Northeast Florida and Southeast Georgia. This month, save up to $10,000 off select new GMC Sierra 1500s or enjoy rates as low as 0% and 0 APR financing. Yes, 0%. You can't find deals like this anywhere in Jacksonville. Shop 24/7 online at NimnikBuickGMC.com. Value your trade and customize your payment options in seconds. Nimnik Buick GMC. GMC, we are professional grade.
After consulting with several orthopedic specialists about my constant knee pain, I chose Southeast Orthopedic Specialist and Dr. Chris Swanson to handle my surgery. Their professionalism let me know this team was the one for me. The surgery was very successful, and if I ever have a future need, I'll continue to trust Southeast Orthopedic Specialists to take care of me.
Relieve pain and get back to life. Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
Dave Benyon with Zero Res. As the temps outside are warming up, so is Zero Res. Right now, it's the hottest price of the year. 3 rooms of carpet cleaned for only $147, and the 4th room is free. That's right, the 4th room is on me. Google Zero Res and see what people are saying. Zero Res has over 6,000 5-star reviews. Remember, February is the hottest price of the year for Zero Res. 3 rooms of carpet cleaned for $147, and the 4th room is free. Zero Res, spelled forward or backwards, it's the right way to clean.
Zero Res.
Hey folks, Rick Ballou here for John's Auto. They've been a staple in Jacksonville going all the way back to 1985. At John's Auto, they service all makes, all models, cars, trucks, diesel, you name it, they do it. Whether it's routine maintenance or a complete engine overhaul. Call John's Auto on Arlington Road. That's 904-743-3857 or go to johnsautomotivejacks.com.
Take a radio boat ride with Captain Cabin on the Ring Power Fishing Forecast Show. Wheeled in by the Pest Pros at Royal Pest Services and awaken 180 weight loss.
Thursday nights at 6
on 1010XL AM.
Instant Keys. You don't have to go to the dealer. Instant Keys comes to you. For lost or broken keys or nearly any make and model of vehicle, call 722-1111 for Instant Keys Locksmith Service.
Ever wonder how you can transform your living spaces into captivating works of art? At First Coast Lighting and Fans, they offer a huge selection of high-quality products to match your desire for elegance, quality, and uniqueness. Visit their showroom on Phillips Highway at the Avenues and step into a world of quality without compromise. Discover the difference that locally owned expertise makes and let them help you experience the transformation from average to extraordinary. At First Coast Lighting and Fans.
If you're getting engaged this Valentine's Day, Beards Diamonds has Jacksonville's largest selection of engagement rings, lab-grown diamonds, and GIA-certified loose diamonds, even Rolex watches, all at the lowest prices guaranteed.
At the St. John's Town Center or shop online at beardsdiamonds.com.
Hammond, Valentine's Day is coming up. Got any romantic plans?
Dad, I'm married to Clean Air. My plan is to help Jacksonville families breathe easier.
You're helpless, but Clean Air does sound nice. Can duct cleaning really help?
Absolutely. Dust, allergens, even odors can build up in your ducts. Cleaning them now makes your air fresher and healthier for your family. The EPA says better indoor air quality can reduce health risk.
So cleaning ducts are like Valentine's Day gift for the house.
Exactly. Forget chocolates. Fresh air lasts longer and doesn't melt. Plus, we've got a February special, $100 off your total.
All right, sign me up. Maybe fresh air will make Mom fall in love with me again all over.
You'll have to take her to dinner for that, but cleaner air will definitely help.
Fair enough. Jacksonville, if you're ready to show your home some love, Google Zerorez and read over 7,000 five-star reviews. Zerorez.
Spelled forward or backwards, it's the right way to clean.
Cerorez. Zerorez.
AC replacement? Not warming up when you want it? If your HVAC unit is close to calling it quits, make sure you call Florida Home AC. With over $4,500 in buyback and tax credits waiting for you, take advantage of it. 777-4300 for Florida Home AC.
Family owned and managed for 20 plus years, Hidden Hills Golf Club boasts a unique and welcoming atmosphere. Visit us at hiddenhillsgc.com to book your next round on our Arnold Palmer signature course. You'll be glad you did.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. Boy, there is no shortage of Jacksonville Jaguar news, something seemingly coming out every single day, including the big news earlier this week that Tony Baselli is the new EVP of football operations. Combine that with the fact that we have a Super Bowl that's going to be played on Sunday between Kansas City and Philadelphia. Let's talk about all of that with my buddy Leon Searcy, former Pro Bowl offensive tackle for the Jacksonville Jaguars. You hear him every day on Primetime, and we get him weekly right here on Hacker After Dark. Leon, how are you, pal?
I'm good, bro.
Hey, buddy, we always appreciate the time. All right, you know, your former teammate, a guy that people kind of relate the two of you, Tony Baselli, Leon Searcy, Tony Baselli, the two best offensive tackles that have ever played here. Tony is now the EVP of football operations. Leon, your reaction when you heard that news earlier this week?
Well, I was definitely excited for Tony. I actually texted him the next day to congratulate him. He texted me back, thank you. Listen, I always said maybe about a couple of months ago that I always thought that this organization needed somebody who cared about the Jaguars' success. And what I mean cared about, someone who is entrenched, someone who is in depth, has had the experience of being a Jaguar. And, you know, me and Tony, we always saw each other in training camp and, you know, through our passerbys, we've always had conversations about, you know, what the team needs to look like, what we were, and what this team is lacking and all that other kind of stuff, whatever. So him getting the job is kind of like one of us working there, because I can't tell you how many former Jaguar players get on. We stream. I don't know. Well, we're on text together after games, and we're frustrated about the performance, the intensity, and all that kind of stuff. And I don't know the whereabouts of what Tony is going to be involved in as far as schematically with the team, but I know his presence, in that building is going to be profound.
Leon Searcy here with us. Leon, it's amazing how opinions can change, particularly with the fan base. I mean, 2 weeks ago, people were furious, right? 2 weeks ago today, as a matter of fact, Liam Cohen originally took his name out of the running to be the Jaguar head coach, and Trent Baalke was still here. And then, obviously, later that day, Trent Baalke was gone, and news started surfacing that Liam Cohen may be back in play. And you look at what's transpired in the last 2 weeks from that to Liam Cohen getting the job, to Tony Baselli being the EVP of football operations. But honestly, it's the way
transition we're making with some of these young assistants that we're interviewing and stuff like that. So, I mean, let's Hacker, it's off-season optimism. Always optimistic about this team in the offseason. It's like a slow IV drip, of good and feel good type of stuff. It's that new car smell this Jaguar team has right now. So I'm going to embrace it. I'm going to ride out, with Liam and the decisions that he's going to make with the assistants and the GM. And, Baselli's in the building with a new role, a new identity, new energy. So it feels good right now in the offseason. What this thing is, what this team is doing. So, I'm all aboard the hype train, and hopefully we can ride this thing into the season and have a very successful season.
And there's no doubt the narrative will completely change in September if they start losing games. I agree with you. But for the here and now, I agree as well that things are very, very positive, which is a nice change from what they have been for a majority of the last decade plus. A couple of more for former Jaguar offensive tackle Leon Searcy. You get him every day on primetime, and you get him weekly right here on Hacker After Dark. Leon, when it comes to the staff that's coming together under Liam Cohen, a lot of youth, right? I mean, they're hiring guys in their mid to late 30s and their early 40s. Anthony Campanile, the brand new defensive coordinator. I like him, but he's never been a defensive coordinator before. He's putting together guys on his defensive staff that look like they have a lot of energy, but again, not as much experience. What's been your take on the guys that have been hired to this point?
Well, I made a joke on primetime a couple of days ago. If this staff gets any younger, they're going to need a babysitter. So I mean, they're going young, but I kind of knew that was going to be the agenda with Liam, because I mean, he's going to affiliate and associate himself with guys that he's comfortable around, guys that he's got relationships with, or maybe it's guys, since he comes from that Sean McVay tree, maybe it's guys that he reached out to, the Sean McVay, Matt LaFleur, Kevin O'Connell, guys that he's familiar with. Hey, who would you should suggest, and that kind of stuff. So I kind of figured that. And then, you're talking about young, youthful guys, lack of experience, might bring some new, profound energy into the locker room. But Hackett, this thing is going to go either one or two ways, and it's not going to be any middle ground. This thing is either going to be hugely successful, and this Jaguar team is going to take off and maybe win 10, 11, 12 games, or this thing is going to totally implode. I don't think there's going to be any middle ground. I mean, because with either these guys are young enough not to know any better, and they go in there and this team just takes off, or their lack of experience being in, coaching at this level. Now, they've coached at it, but their lack of experience collectively is just going to totally implode. So I don't think there's going to be any middle ground. I think this team is either going to just be a jet setter, or this thing is going to be a minefield.
Well, the absolutely wild thing to think about, and again, I get it, it's a total makeover as far as the staff and management, but here we are on February the 5th. Liam Cohen's had the job for, 12 days. He still doesn't have his entire staff put together. They're interviewing general manager candidates, as we speak. The Senior Bowl's over, right? The East-West Shrine All-Star game is over. There are on-the-field drills in Indianapolis at the scouting combine 3 weeks from tomorrow, and free agency is now inside of 6 weeks. So this is going to be a wild next 2 months here in Jacksonville, trying to get everything situated and try to build this roster for 2025.
Well, yeah, I mean, they're comparably to what all the other teams are doing. I mean, they're behind the 8 ball, to be quite honest. They don't have their staff intact. If you look at other teams, probably more than likely. Now, I don't know the situation with all the other teams, the other 7 teams that just got brand new coaches. I don't know that they got their staff together or whatever. But, I mean, you're going to, at some particular point, you're going to have to start, you're going to start pulling you're going to start having to push buttons. I mean, because like you said, you would think that he would want his staff together. The combine is February the 27th through March 2nd. Like you said, free agency is, a couple of weeks after that. You would think that because with the combine, you would like to have your staff together. You like to have them interviewing certain guys in particular that you want to. Now, the Senior Bowl and the East-West Shrine game, maybe you've got your scouts in place from the old regime that's gathering all this information and stuff like that, is bringing it to you, because you're not going to get rid of them right now, whatever decisions you make, because you're going to be expecting all that information and data so you can decipher. But as far as the combine goes and free agency and pro days, I mean, you look around the corner, Hack. I mean, we're going to be right there. So, I mean, I say this: I say, don't hurry, don't rush, but hurry up. Mm-hmm. How about that? Don't rush, but hurry up. So, yeah, that's a little concerning.
Leon, as we begin to wrap up, let's focus on the last football game of the year, Super Bowl 59 in New Orleans. Obviously, you played in a Super Bowl there with Pittsburgh and a great game against Dallas. Obviously, it did not end the way you would like it to have with Larry Brown and that interception. But I would have to imagine Super Bowl week, and particularly when it gets to Super Bowl Sunday, brings back all sorts of memories for you with that game against the Cowboys back in Super Bowl 30.
Well, yeah, actually yesterday on Pride Time, I was actually talking to Coach Campbell about the fact that I remember on a Tuesday, we was on our way to practice. We was on the bus on our way to practice, and all of a sudden we heard these helicopters above our heads. Well, it wasn't above our heads, but it was in a far distance. And I said there was 2 helicopters, and they had this star that it was carrying to this hillside to drop it off. And I said it infuriated me so much that I saw this Dallas Cowboys star with these 2 helicopters taking it to this hillside and planting it right there while we was on our way to practice. So Coach Campbell got a nice little laugh out of that, but it was true. I mean, it made me hate the Cowboys even more. And then the intensity of practice actually was elevated because of what happened. Now, saying all that, it didn't matter because 2 interceptions still cost us the game, especially the last one when we were driving to take the lead or kick a field goal to tie it. So, but yeah, I had nothing but fond memories of playing in the Super Bowl. It was a great week. I mean, it's not like how they have it now. The Super Bowl was played the same week right after the NFC and AFC championship game. So, now these guys have a lot more downtime. I don't know if that's a good or bad thing, but I know that it helps the NFL financially, corporately, because they make more money that way, prolonging it. But I had a great time. I did. I mean, unfortunately, losing the Super Bowl was probably my most devastating loss in my career.
That's the thing, too. It's like I want to talk about Mahomes as we say goodbye to you, but the loser of the game on Sunday will be talking about it 29 years later, because knowing you as long as I have, I mean, whenever that game comes up, Dallas-Pittsburgh, Super Bowl 30, I mean, that was 29 years ago, and it might as well be yesterday because every nuance that happened and the frustration about it after the game.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember every moment. I almost remember every play. I know how devastating it was to the Steelers franchise to have lost to the Cowboys because, those intense rivalries were manufactured like in the 70s. So, I mean, we had a profound hate for the Cowboys, and we definitely wanted, at that particular time, to be honest with you, we were labeled the only Steelers team to lose to the Cowboys in the Super Bowl.
Oh, wow.
So that we didn't want to carry that legacy, but unfortunately we did. We had to because we did. We lost to the Cowboys in the Super Bowl. But, you know, as much as I begrudgingly want to say it, the Cowboys were the better team because, I mean, we started slow. They played like they had been there, which they had. And we didn't pick it up until the second half, and that's why we started playing with them toe-to-toe. But you can't give a team like that a head start, like a 13-0 lead, and think you're going to come back and win. And that's why I think this going into this Super Bowl, it's going to be prevalent upon both teams to not allow the other team to get out quick, fast, and early, because that struggle to come back is going to be hard to overcome.
Leon, as we say goodbye, this isn't the most scientific breakdown of this Super Bowl on Sunday, but let me tell you where I'm at, and I'm curious your thoughts. I think Philadelphia's got the better roster. I think they got the better players. I think if you were doing a schoolyard pick'em, the top 10 guys that you pick, probably 6 or 7 of them would be Philadelphia Eagles. But having said all that, I'm just not picking against Patrick Mahomes. That's where I'm at. I'm not going to pick against Andy Reid and Mahomes. I think they find a way to get it done on Sunday.
Well, you know what? I told myself all season long that I wasn't going to ever pick against 15 ever again. That's been 2 years running. But I think the Eagles may have a little something. I went back and watched the film with Tampa Bay versus the Kansas City Chiefs in that Super Bowl. Now, you know, Patrick Mahomes is light years ahead of what he was back then. But I can tell you what they did. All they did was 4-man rushing. In the back end of the secondary, they covered. They made sure Kelsey was not going to wreck shop. And they ran the ball on them, and they ran the ball effectively on them. They took possessions away, and they pressured Patrick Mahomes the whole game. I think the Philadelphia Eagles front four has the personnel to where they can do the same things. And I think that their back end, as far as their secondary goes, as their corners and their linebackers, can kind of keep some of their guys in check and maybe frustrate Patrick a little bit. And if they can run the ball with Saquon and take away possessions, I don't know, Hack.
Wow, sounds like you're going Philadelphia, man.
I don't know, Hack. I may ride with the Eagles on this one and see. Now Patrick can prove me wrong, but I think that I'm going with the Eagles to win.
Well, I don't have a dog in the fight. I'm just hoping for a good game, no question about that. Kansas City and Philadelphia Sunday in Super Bowl 59. My buddy Leon Searcy, former Pro Bowl offensive tackle for the Jacksonville Jaguars. You get him every day on prime time, and we're lucky enough to have him weekly here on Hacker After Dark. Leon, thank you as always, pal. We'll talk again soon.
You got it, bro.
Your radio highlight reel.
Caught for the touchdown.
1010XL, home of the Jacksonville Jaguars. It's another exciting local sports day on the First Coast. Listen for 1010XL National Signing Day updates all day. Brought to you by Baker Glass. No one treats you better on Jacksonville Sports Radio 1010XL.
If you've played sports or still lead an active life, chances are joint pain is nothing new. This is Dr. George Barry of Barry Orthopedics, and we like to be your option when it comes to taking care of your body and getting back in the game. From shoulders to elbows to hip and knee pain, Barry Orthopedics can diagnose and treat a variety of injuries that are causing you pain. We are Barry Orthopedics and online at barryorthopedics.com. With more than 30 years of experience, our team is here to care for your entire family.
Find out more at barryorthopedics.com. That's BAHRI orthopedics.com.
You'll always feel good when you send someone a Kuhn Flowers floral or plant arrangement. This is JJ with 1010XL, and no matter what the reason, Kuhn Flowers has always come through for me. Order online at kuhnflowers.com.
Yo, E to the T here from my bookie, and it's finally here. A game so big, we're not even supposed to say the name. Where the Kansas City Chiefs take on the Philadelphia Eagles at the Superdome. This isn't just the biggest game of the year, it's the ultimate betting event. If you're not on my bookie, you're missing out on all the action. Big game betting with my bookie goes beyond picking the winner. We've got all the wild props you can think of for this epic showdown. Will it be heads or tails? What color will the Gatorade be for the drenching of the winning coach? Even the length of the national anthem and the spectacle of the halftime show are up for grabs. My bookie loves giving you options to bet on everything. What really makes my bookie stand out? We make it easy to win and even easier to get paid. Whether you deposit in crypto or credit, bonuses await. And our new loyalty program gives you cash back just for playing. Bet on the Big Game Boost parlays, live betting, and jackpots that can turn small bets into big wins. Fast sign-ups, lightning fast payouts. Make sure you sign up using my promo code TentonXL to get that deposit. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere with MyBookie. Come on, somebody.
When they were little, the other girls played with dolls.
Aww.
They played with footballs.
Who's them? Yes, it's us.
Helmets and heels.
From the First Coast Lighting Studios at 1010XL.
Weekdays noon to 2.
Some girls have all the fun.
Value or flavor? Price or taste? Why choose when you can get both with everyday deals at Sonny's? Right now, you can get the pork big deal for 10, the pork and rib combo for 12, and all you can eat ribs for just $19.99. Yep, you heard right. All your favorites are now available all day, every day. And that's why it's always Sonny's here. Sonny's Barbecue, local pitmaster since '68.
What could you do with an extra $75,000 right now, or even a couple $100,000? If you own a home, you can get that money in less than a week with Loan Pronto. Hey, Prosser here. Loan Pronto is the leader in quickly converting your home equity into cold hard cash, so you can pay off all your credit cards or start that home remodel. Loan Pronto has several easy options to let you access the cash from your home. There's virtually no paperwork, no cumbersome process, no junk fees, often no appraisals. Listen, the average homeowner now has over $300,000 in equity. That's your money. Use it. One client got $150,000 out and paid off all their credit cards, 2 car loans, and a personal loan, cutting their monthly expenses by $1,500. You can get approved in as little as 1 day, so act now with no hard credit pull up front. LoanPronto.com or 904-999-1508. Get the money you need for anything at 904-999-1508 or just go to LoanPronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
Bueller. Stay cooler with Bueller.
Hey, pal, what's the matter?
I don't know about this air conditioner, Jason.
You know, my job is actually to...
I mean, 1 minute it's working and the next minute it's not working. And every time I leave the house, I don't know if I'm coming back to a nice, cool oasis or a steaming cesspool of sweaty garbage fumes and dog farts, and then I'll never get to sleep. And I'll be too late to call someone. And what if I've got a big meeting the next morning and I haven't slept a wink?
Okay, dude. Stay cool. Or at least stay cooler.
But
Bueller Air and Plumbing can figure out why your AC only works sometimes and not all the time. We fix that kind of stuff every day.
You mean you can...
Life moves pretty fast. If you spend all your time worrying about an air conditioner that can totally be fixed, you could miss it.
Stay cooler with Bueller.
Visit BuellerAir.com.
Brian and Angela Wall here with Window World. By now, everyone has heard about saving money on their energy bills. There are all sorts of things you can do to cut energy costs, but most people don't think about their windows.
But Window World knows that the biggest energy loss in almost every home is the windows. There is more energy loss from old builder-grade windows than just about anything else in your home.
You can upgrade your heating and air, your appliances. That's good too. But before you do all that, upgrade your windows to Window World's energy-efficient windows.
Window World's windows are easy to clean, energy efficient, and have the best guarantee in the business.
Window World's slogan is simply the best for less, and we mean it. You get great American-made windows, and you get to keep more of your money when you buy from Window World. Need any more reasons to buy your windows from Window World? Call them today and set up your free in-home estimate, or go online to windowworldneflorida.com.
Window
World,
simply the best for less.
Thank you for your business.
Window World also offers energy-efficient doors.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. This just in on Hacker After Dark.
No, not Jaguar related, but Florida Gator related. And this is interesting, I guess. I'm trying to find the right words, the right verbiage. I'm going to come up with interesting till I figure out a better word. So according to 24/7 Sports and CBS Sports, our buddy Graham Hall among them, Florida is expected to hire Washington's Robert Bala, I believe, as a co-defensive coordinator and linebacker coach to join Billy Napier's staff for the 2025 season. Keep in mind, last week they hired Vinny Cincinnati, formerly an Alabama player right back in the day, and he's also a co-defensive coordinator. And Ron Roberts is still at Florida, Denmark, if I'm not mistaken, and he is a co-defensive coordinator, at least was last year with Austin Armstrong. So I guess at this point, one would ask, what is the record for a college football team for co-defensive coordinators? Because by my count, Florida has 3 of them now.
Yeah, all this is just dumb. Like, I don't know of any good football team ever that's had co-coordinators. I mean, it's always been you have a head coach that sometimes calls plays for the offense or defense. You have a coordinator, and then you have your assistants.
Yeah.
And anytime you ask Napier who is calling the plays for your defense, he's always, well, it's a collaborative effort. No, one person has to call the plays. Like, one person leads the meetings on the weekends and says, okay, we're doing this, and then tells the plan to his assistants. Like, it's so infuriating. Like, why he can't just say this person's calling the plays.
You sound a little fired up in there about it. You sound angry. I like that. The Gator blood pouring through your veins. What I don't understand is, look, 41 years on planet Earth, about 35 of those realistically following the game of college football, the one that I love. I get having a defensive coordinator, obviously. I could even maybe understand co-defensive coordinators, but they basically have trio defensive coordinators now. There's 3 guys with that title. If they're going to hire Bala from Washington, which is being reported, to join Searcy, to join Ron Roberts. Of course, as we know, Austin Armstrong is gone now. But still, an interesting hire. And when you consider as well that a lot of Gator fans wanted them to bring in an offensive coordinator to take the play calling away from Billy Napier, I think I saw something. Was it 46 different schools in big-time Division I college football hired or promoted new offensive coordinators this offseason, which is a pretty big number. But either people got fired, people left for other jobs, people got demoted, whatever. The number they believe was 46. Florida was not one of them, and the Gator fan base was screaming about bringing in a play caller. That appears obviously not to be the case. Billy Napier is going to call the plays. And yet with all of that, boy, a lot of these preseason way too early top 25s are starting to come out. And Florida's in like the top 20, dare I say the top 15. In a couple of these things. There's a lot of expectations on Florida this year. Certainly much more expectation on the Gators heading into 2025 than what there was on Florida heading into 2024. Speaking of Gator athletics, one night ago down in Gainesville, the Gator basketball team got a big win, man. Big win. Coming off a shellacking where they just got thumped by Tennessee in Knoxville. Walter Clayton did not play last night. They got 2 hard road games coming up at number 1 Auburn on Saturday and then at a ranked Mississippi State team next week. You had to win last night against a good Vanderbilt team, and Florida did that. They were trailing at the half, but they come back and win the game. They get to 19-3 overall, 6-3 in the SEC. They continue to be ranked in the top 10 in America. And I got to tell you, man, Denmark, that's a good win. That's a good middle-of-the-week win, knowing you play the number 1 team in the land on Saturday, 4 o'clock, national TV. All eyes will be on Florida-Auburn. You got this game against Vandy before that. Without Walter Clayton, you're trailing at the half. And yet, despite that, you find a way to win the game. That's got to give Florida at least a little bit of confidence heading into Auburn on Saturday.
I mean, if you're looking for confidence going to Auburn, good luck.
Well, I think it's better. If winning the game last night was certainly better than the alternative.
That's true. But, I mean, it's came to the point now where Florida seems like they've played their best basketball in late December, early January, and you wonder if they can get back to that these next couple weeks. I mean, Graham brought this up, and it's a good point. We did our pod earlier this morning.
Is that on the award-winning Denmark and Marsh podcast?
Yes.
Nice.
It's probably better off for Walter Clayton to sit out for a week or two and to get his ankle fully healed, because him playing at 60 to 65% for the rest of the way, even if he's playing every game, is not going to help this Gator team at all. I mean, this Gator team is going to go where he goes. So you have to get him fully healed, hopefully for the last couple of regular season games into conference tournament, NCAA, and then just go from there. So if that takes a couple of losses, you fall to a 3 seed, cool. And, you just roll with the punches.
I know you and I talked about this last night. Jay Billis is one guy, and I want to say some others have kind of echoed his sentiment. He said, basically, it's going to be harder to win the SEC tournament in college hoops this year than it might be to win the NCAA tournament. Joe Lenardi on ESPN's bracketology, I believe at this point, has 11 SEC teams in the field. I don't know. I mean, as we all know, it just means more on the gridiron when it comes to the Southeastern Conference, except maybe this past year. The SEC football was a little bit down. But SEC basketball is the best conference in the country, and it's not even close. It's not even close. I don't want to hear about Tobacco Road. I don't want to hear about the Big Ten. I don't want to hear about any of that. The Big East, certainly. Not even comparable to how good the SEC is in college hoops. When you have teams like Auburn, obviously Alabama, Tennessee, Florida, even teams like Texas A&M, Mississippi State, Ole Miss, it is wild how good. I mean, look at that Vanderbilt team last night that Florida beat. They were unranked. They were 16-5. 16-5. But in the SEC, they're now under 500 in the conference because it's just hard to play ranked team after ranked team after ranked team every single week. So we'll do some more on Gator Hoops. We'll talk about that Florida-Auburn game coming up on Saturday. Of course, you'll hear the game right here on 1010XL. Number 1 Auburn, number 6 Florida on the Plains. Certainly one of, if not the biggest game in college basketball coming up this Saturday. You know, it's interesting, too, and we're going to have Will Helms from College Football Network joining us in about 15 minutes. And one of the things I want to talk about with Will briefly, Denmark, I know you know this, so I'm kind of asking a rhetorical question because I'm assuming there are a lot of really smart sports fans that have forgotten what today is, or more importantly, what today used to be.
Oh, I forgot about it.
It's the first Wednesday in February. And for a guy like me in my early 40s, if you rewind the clock back, certainly 10 years, 15, but 20 years ago, holy moly, the first Wednesday in February, if you're a college football fan, was one of the biggest days on the calendar. This was National Signing Day, man. This is what it was. You wake up at 7 o'clock in the morning and you turn on ESPN or ESPN News or ESPNU or SEC Network when that came about, and you just watch all day as guys make their commitment, hats on the table, flipping on teams at the last minute, committed somewhere, going elsewhere, analysis. I mean, it was enormous. Now, I was engrossed in this life for about 3 years when I covered recruiting on a regional basis for Gridiron Now, so I obviously had a much different perspective of it when I talked to hundreds of these kids in that 3-year window. But during my time doing that is when the December signing period came about. And we didn't know what the December signing period was going to do for February. And the first year, I would say probably 75% of the kids signed in December, which was shocking to a lot of people. And that was about 5 years ago, 6 years ago, maybe even a little longer than that. And here we are now, 2025, and there might as well not even be a national signing day, at least for football, right? At least for, the 4 and 5 stars. Now here locally and nationally, there was a huge day today for a lot of athletes in a lot of different sports. But talking to the college football fan, the Florida Gator fan, the Florida State Seminole fan, Miami, Georgia, all you guys that support the Power Four, the big-time Power Four, 95% of the work is done now in December. In Denmark, maybe this is 41-year-old old guy speaking, but there was something pure about the February signing day. I remember getting out of Wolfson High School. And I'm not trying to age Frangie here, but I remember getting out of Wolfson and turning on the Sports Fix with Frank Frangie back in the day when he was at 9:30, and then when obviously he came over to the Toaster and where we are now on 1010, and I would just listen for 3 hours as they would have analysis. Jamie Newberg used to be one of his guys he would have on the entire 3 hours, talking about this guy's going here and that guy's going there. And National Signing Day in February was great. And that is today. And man alive, for college football purposes, it has been completely and utterly crushed by the early signing period in December, Denmark, and it kind of stinks a little bit, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, the new thing is these college coaches want to get these guys signed in December, and A lot of them will tell them that if you don't sign December, we can't guarantee you a scholarship because, you know, you have limitations on what you have for your all your positions, some football specifically. And, you know, if you're taking, you know, 2 running backs in a class and 2 guys commit and they're going to take it, you're going to be left without a scholarship. And if you wait till the February, the second signing day, you know, I had an SEC coach tell me 2 years ago when Mason Carr was being recruited at Baldwin.
And again, you are on the Baldwin football coaching staff.
And he's like, a lot of kids that would, you know, go to an SEC school or a big-time school end up going to a G5 school or something less because it's a trickle-down effect. I mean, a lot of these guys are not waiting on high school kids no more. There's 6,000 kids in the portal.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to get a kid that's going to be, you know, knows what college life is like and knows what the experience is like and knows what it's like to be in a weight room because, you know, your job is on the line. So, you know, a lot of people don't know that, you know, when a high school kid goes to college, this is football. Like half of them don't make it after a year because they're homesick or whatever the case may be. So, yeah, I mean, everything's changed, man, with college athletics. And, you know, high school athletics is changing as we speak every year.
Quickly, Will Helms, College Football Network, less than 10 minutes away. Rewind the clock back 10 years. If you were to tell yourself 10 years ago, then in 2015, that in 2025, college football would look like this. The February signing day would basically be null and void. You can transfer at will, essentially becoming free agents. College kids will be getting paid millions of dollars to go to these programs, and we're going to have a 12-team college football playoff. Your head would have exploded, which begs the question, what are we going to be telling ourselves 10 years from now in 2035 about the game we love, which is college football? Let's talk a little college football. Let's reminisce about signing day that is now pretty much gone in February. Let's talk a little Florida and Florida State, but by and large, let's talk a little draft. Will Helms does it all for College Football Network. He is their main NFL draft guy. He is their main college football guy, and he joins me next on a Wednesday evening in Jacksonville, Florida. Hacker After Dark, in for Baloo, right here on 1010XL and on 92.5 FM.
Hey, I know if you give me time, baby, we can do whatever we want. Left pass, left, crawl. Oh, one, ready?
I'm David Garrard on 1010XL, 92.5 FM.
Now you can watch 1010XL shows all day on X, Facebook, and YouTube. Brought to you by MyBookie. Experience Vegas from the comfort of your phone anytime, anywhere. Sign up today. Use promo code 1010XL.
It's time to get up and go to the Jacksonville RV Mega Show. Thursday through Sunday, February 6th through 9th at the Jacksonville Equestrian Center. It's Northeast Florida's largest RV show with hundreds of RVs on display. Lifestyle booths, plus win $250 gift cards every day. Adults $10, kids under 12 free. Seniors get half off on Thursday. Military and first responders half off every day. Thursday through Saturday 9 to 5, Sunday 9 to 4. The Jacksonville RV Mega Show.
Transform your bathroom with stunning shower glass from Sky Glass Solutions in Jacksonville Beach. For a free quote, call 904-608-5151 or visit skyglasssolutions.com.
Don't ignore plumbing leaks. They can lead to mold and mildew or structural damage and drain your wallet. So when you have a leak and can't wait a week, call Roland Reich Plumbing. PlumbingJacksonville.com.
Home of the Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
Hello, First Coast. I'm sure by now you have seen our bright green GFL trucks and containers throughout the greater Jacksonville area. We're an industry leader in solid waste and would love the opportunity to earn your business. We're committed to customer service, reliability, and have an unwavering focus on safety. Whether commercial or construction, let us haul your waste away. Call 904-760-5880 to get a quote today from GFL, Green for Life.
Mia here. Since 1982, Closets by Design has specialized in creating dream spaces for every budget. My designer, Frances, made the process so easy. She came to my house and designed a beautiful walk-in closet that's already so incredibly functional for me and old Beau Valentine. Call today to schedule your free in-home consultation at 1-800-293-3744 or visit closetsbydesign.com. Take advantage of extended savings this month. Get 40% off and another 15% off with 18-month special financing.
It's time to elevate your game night. Head to Best Bet, your premier destination for poker, card games, and hospitality. With locations in Jacksonville, Orange Park, and St. Augustine, we have a seat ready for you. Whether you're a seasoned poker player or just starting out, we have you covered with poker games of all limits and easy-to-learn games like Ultimate Texas Hold'em. And it's not just poker. With delicious dining, lively bars, and big screen events, there's something for everyone at Best Bet. Visit bestbetjacks.com to learn more. That's bestbetjacks.com and ante up for fun.
We're certainly facing interesting economic times. For me, it's comforting to know my money's in good hands with ITP Partners. Jacksonville guys taking care of my Jacksonville money. Experience? Yeah, that's Chris Bryan, Jeff Hartman, Reagan Wright, Dan Abel, Scott Regner, Janice Cobb, and Reed Wingate. They have the expertise and knowledge to take care of your money. For more info, go to itppartners.com. ITP Partners, they're my financial partners for life.
Non-compensated client testimonial may not be representative of all client experiences. No guarantee of future performance or success.
Collisions happen on every play in football. Collisions also happen every day on the road. If you need auto body repair, from a $30 job to a $30,000 job, trust San Jose Collision in Mandarin.
Hey, it's Matt Hayes. Around this time last year, I was celebrating. Why? Because I had reached my goal of dropping 40 pounds with Awaken 180. It felt great. We all set goals, but most times we don't have a plan to hit them, so it's not really a goal. I'd call it more of a wish, and we know how that saying goes. With Awaken 180, I didn't wish the weight away. I had a plan, and this time I knew I'd reach my goal, and I did it. 40 pounds gone in just 2 months. Simple. That was a year ago, and I haven't put on a pound. How do I feel? Like $1 million. Like the horizon line that looked so far away all those years is now right in front of me, and it's a brand new day. And it's time to seize it. Night and day from where I felt carrying around all that weight, having to untuck my shirts, winded trying to tie my shoes. If you're overweight, you know what I mean. Set your goal and know you'll reach it with the solution for weight loss. Call 844-346-1800 or online at awaken180weightloss.com.
Yo, this is Tony from Tony D's. Are you looking for a great slice of pizza? Well, we have about 12 varieties. Most places won't have slices of pizza after lunch. At Tony D's, you can get a slice all day. It's always fresh at Tony D's Pizza. Bay Meadows and 295.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. Well, there's obviously been a ton going on with the Jacksonville Jaguars, with the head coaching search, the coaching staff getting filled out, the general manager search that is currently ongoing. And you look at the calendar, we're almost a week into February already. The All-Star football games are in the rearview mirror. The Combine is 3 weeks away. Let's talk a little bit about the upcoming NFL draft. And this week was a big week a few years back, right? It's the February portion of National Signing Day. But with that on the sports calendar, you start turning your eyes to spring football a little bit. And it's already been a really interesting offseason for both Florida and Florida State. Let's talk about all of it with Will Helms, College Football Network. He's always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL in Jacksonville. Will, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great. How are you, Ryan?
Hey, Will, we're good. Thank you for the time. Let's start right there, right? I mean, this used to be such an enormous week when it comes to signing day. You know, I remember 10, 15 years ago, the first Wednesday in February, man, that was it. Now, it has been kind of obliterated because of the December early signing period. But also when it comes to this February portion, you start turning your eyes a little bit to spring football as this college football off season's rolling right along.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually just wrote an article about, 3 takeaways, 3 things to look for during, the spring signing period or, National Signing Day, whatever we want to call it now. And I found it really difficult to find 3 things that I actually cared about for today. I woke up this morning and went, I guess it is the, first Wednesday in February. Teams have finished their classes. They've moved on. I've talked to a lot of recruiting coordinators that said, yeah, we don't even care about 2025 anymore. We were done with that class in December. So interesting that how things have changed and how the calendar has changed in college football, but definitely time for some spring football.
Yeah, hay is in the barn with these recruiting classes for the most part. And that brings me to Florida first. I think, Will, if you would have told Gator fans 2 months ago, Austin Barber, Jake Slaughter, Tyreek Sapp, and Caleb Banks are all coming back to school. You're going to add a couple of 5-star wide receivers in Vernell Brown and Dallas Wilson. You'll add a couple of impact players in the transfer portal, including that wide receiver from UCLA. Now, you'll have some attrition, right? Shamar James, Jack Pyburn, TJ Searcy will leave. But I think all in all, Gator fans 2 months ago would have probably taken that. I mean, what's your thought on the Gator offseason to this point?
Yeah, I think the big thing is I'm looking at schools now, and it's telling of the culture what happens with their starters. And it's not just, hey, we made a big splash in the transfer portal. Well, great. If you made a big splash in the transfer portal, how many of your starters from last year are coming back? Did you lose 10 guys to the transfer portal and you had to bring in a huge portal class to replace them? Or did you mostly keep your starters? And I think it's really indicative of the culture that Billy Napier has created, that Florida didn't really lose that many guys. I look at the transfer portal class. It's not the most exciting that you'll find across the country, but I would rather, as a coach, have all of my starters coming back than have to replace all of them with 1-year rentals and hope that they work out.
Will Helms, College Football Network, here with us on 1010XL in Jacksonville. Last year, Will, February of 24, there were no expectations on the Gators coming into that season, right? I mean, people were thinking Billy Napier was going to be gone, and that was that. But after you beat Ole Miss and LSU and Florida State and you win your bowl game and you get 8 wins with that difficult schedule a year ago, now there do appear to be some expectations coming into 2025. In fact, I've seen a couple of those way too early, top 25s that have Florida in the top 20, or dare I say in the top 15. I mean, do you buy into some of these expectations on the Gators?
I think the question the question I had last year was DJ Lagway going to be that guy? We were sitting here on this day last year, I guess it may have been the early signing period, and we were wondering if DJ Lagway would flip at the last minute and even make it to Gainesville. And now that he's there, I think Billy Napier kind of lucked into, some injuries and having to play him a little bit earlier than he wanted to. And it turns out that, yeah, that guy can play. The question I have is, and this is the truth in the transfer portal era, I don't feel good about Florida if Harrison Bailey is your quarterback. So is DJ Lagway the savior, and can he stay healthy? Because if he can, I'm all in on buying into the Gators. Still a really difficult schedule. Still have to play, the gauntlet of an SEC schedule. But when you've got that guy behind quarterback, you feel pretty good about your chances.
Will, when it comes to Florida State, it's been a crazy offseason for them. From the hiring of Gus Malzahn as the offensive coordinator, I think they brought in upwards of 15 or 20 guys out of the transfer portal. Now, Mike Norvell has lived by the transfer portal, and he kind of died by the transfer portal last year, which is a large reason why they went 2-10, one of the worst records in program history. What is your thought on the offseason so far in Tallahassee?
I hope Thomas Castellanos is who they think he is, because DJ Uiagalelei was not who they thought he was. And I read a report that, and a couple of sources down there have confirmed that they almost went after Cam Ward and decided, no, we think that that Uiagalelei is, we think he's pretty close to that. We think he can give us pretty close to what Cam Ward could do for a little bit cheaper. And obviously that didn't work out. And you're talking about, I'm not saying that they would have been, 10-2 if they had gone with Cam Ward, but they put a lot of eggs into one basket last year, and they're doing the same thing with Thomas Castellanos this year. So if he is who they think he is, I think that Florida State's going to be in for a bounce-back season. If he's not, you could see another one of these, we died by the portal again because we made the wrong decision at quarterback.
Will Helms, College Football Network. And the thing about Florida State, look, you come off a 2-10 campaign. I mean, you need to turn that around. Now, 6-6 would be a gigantic turnaround, but I can tell you, Will, that if they go 6-6, Florida State fans will not be happy about an 8-16 record over a 2-year stretch. So there is some pressure on Norvell, I think. And you look at that schedule, I mean, Alabama, Clemson, Miami, Florida, Pitt, Va-Tech. I mean, it's a decently hard schedule for the Noles coming in this year.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that, obviously Florida State fans don't want 6-6. I would go as far as to say if Norvell goes 6-6, we're going to be hearing a lot of talk about, are they going to keep him around? Are they going to get rid of him? We're going to hear a lot of talk out of Tallahassee in that regard. I think they're looking at least 8-4 to feel good about their head coach right now.
We'll see what happens, but certainly a lot of expectations on the Gators. Hopefully a bounce-back year for Florida State, for the Seminole fans in our area. Will, not only do you cover the college game, you also cover the draft for College Football Network, and the Jaguars will have 10 picks in this year's draft. I believe 6 of those picks are in the top 125, and they have the 5th overall pick. From a mile-high view, again, we're early in the draft process. We're still 3 weeks away from the combine, but your overall thoughts on the draft class as a whole, right? Positions of strength, positions of weakness. How would you assess this 25 draft class right now?
I'm really intrigued about this draft class because on the whole, we're hearing, hey, it's not as good as last year's class. It's definitely not as good as next year's class or the class after that. But there are pockets of really, really strong positions in this class, and even to go a step further than that, really strong, parts of the draft. So you're hearing a lot of people, and you're going to hear draft analysts as they come up with their big boards say there's only 8 to 10 really strong first-round picks, and we only have 8 first-round grades on guys. And that's true. It's not a very top-heavy class. It's also not a very deep class. You see the effects of NIL bringing a lot of guys back to the college game that maybe would have been 5th or 6th round picks. But where this draft class stands out, I think, is that day 2 to early day 3 range. There are a lot of guys that I don't think I would want in the first round that I would absolutely trade up for in the 2nd round or the 3rd round. And I think that that's going to be the strategy around that is going to be interesting with teams of, do I trade back in the first round to pick up more picks in the 2nd round because I think that I can get 3 impact players on day 2 versus one guy that I'm not even sure is going to be a superstar in round 1, which is kind of what I want.
It's interesting you say that. And look, say what you will about Trent Baalke, and Jaguar fans have said a lot since his departure 2 weeks ago, but he did leave you with 2/3 and 2/4 in that trade he made last year with Minnesota, which is why Jacksonville does have 6 picks in the top 125. And when you look at mocks, again, super early in the process, Will, but when you look at mocks, I think the 2 guys that have been mocked to Jacksonville the most at number 5 both reside in Ann Arbor, Michigan. Mason Graham, the defensive tackle, and then Will Johnson, the corner. Your thoughts on both guys, and the more people that I talk to, maybe some injury concerns with Will Johnson. What's your thought there?
Yeah, so I think we talked about this last year, and I said that the Jaguars need to get tougher up front because they're pretty soft up front. And that's where I'd first look. If Mason Graham's there, I think you've got to take him just because he's a guy that will definitely outplay his college production just because of the talent he had around him in Ann Arbor. I would definitely go with somebody up front, one of those, mean guys up front, whether it's on the offensive or defensive line, because the Jaguars need to get tougher. And he's a guy that exhibits that day in, day out, down in, down out. And so if those 2 guys are available, I'm definitely going with Graham. But I think on Will Johnson, there are definitely some injury concerns, and I'm not quite as high on him as I am on some of these other guys. And I think it is a combination of, I like a lot of these other early cornerbacks. I think that Travis Hunter could be an exceptional cornerback in the NFL. I think he should play both ways, but I think he could be a very good cornerback. You got Siobhan Revel from ECU, who, yes, also has some injury concerns, but he's 6'3", and has not even come close to hitting his ceiling, and yet was a fantastic player in college. So I look at some of these other early cornerbacks, I lean that way a little bit more. But then also the depth of the cornerback position. I see a lot of guys that you could get on a day 2, on a day 3 that maybe could come in and contribute. So if those 2 guys are available, I'm definitely leaning more towards Mason Graham because it's harder to find a dominant interior defensive lineman than it is to find a cornerback that can go out and play well week in and week out.
Final moments with Will Helms of College Football Network. Will, here in Jacksonville, we're obviously hoping that both Shedeur Sanders and Cam Ward go in the top 4 that would slide some of these position guys down to number 5 where the Jaguars are selecting. Your thoughts on Ward and Sanders, and what's your over-under on how many quarterbacks go in the top 4?
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting. I think versus last year where we had a bunch of quarterbacks go early, we had a bunch of quarterbacks that people had a high grade on. You'll hear some chatter from, oh, well, is Jackson Dart going to be a first-round quarterback? Or maybe Jalen Milroe could be a first-round quarterback. To me, that's agent speaking. That's, behind the scenes. Let's try to hype up some of these guys. I think that the lack of depth in the quarterback class could really push a team like the Las Vegas Raiders to trade up, or even the Jets or a team like that, because beyond those two, I don't see a starting caliber quarterback, at least initially, in this class. So if you miss on one of those two, if they go early, if you're a team in the 6 to 10 range, you're not going to find a quarterback that you really like in that range. So I do think that we'll see both of those guys go early. I lean a little bit more towards Cam Ward, but that is also kind of my quarterback philosophy. His floor is lower. There's definitely a bust factor with Cam Ward, but his ability in the face of pressure and his ability just to be completely calm, he's going to make probably a boneheaded play once a game, once every 2 games that you just kind of shake your head at. But his upside is tremendous. And so I lean a little bit more that way, because if he does bust, you miss, you're in this spot 2 years from now. Versus a Shedeur Sanders, I think, has a very high floor. I think he's going to be a starter in the NFL for several years. But the question is, do you want a guy that is a Daniel Jones, that's a Blake Bortles, that just kind of exists, that doesn't really elevate your team, doesn't play poor enough to hurt your team, and you're sitting there drafting every single year in the 10 to 16 range because you're never bad enough to get one of those elite picks, and you're never good enough to go to the playoffs? And so I think Shedeur's the safer pick, but I don't necessarily think that teams should be going with the safer pick.
Will, we got about 60 seconds. Leave us with this. I agree with you. The Jaguars need to do something up front, either on the O-line or the D-line high in the draft. Assuming Abdul Carter and Mason Graham are both gone in the top 4, just in our hypothetical, would there be another defensive lineman that would warrant a top 5 selection?
I'm back and forth on that. I think beyond those two, you have guys with high upsides. I'm a huge fan of Mike Green from Marshall, but there's a bust factor there. And you really don't want to be picking a guy in the top 5 that has the chance to bust. There are a lot of guys that I think could turn into elite players, but not one that I would be willing to take in the top 5.
And what about offensive linemen? One of those tackles from LSU, or I guess Banks from Texas, would warrant a top 5 selection?
I'm not quite as high on this offensive tackle class as some people are, but I have seen Will Campbell go in the top 5. I have seen Kelvin Banks go in the top 6 to 8. Honestly, in that situation, I would look at Travis Hunter. I think that he can be an elite player. No, he's not on the offensive or defensive line, but you're potentially getting a guy that can impact both sides of the ball at the 5th pick. If that scenario happened and those other guys are off the board, I would definitely look at Travis Hunter.
Will, tell the good folks here in Jacksonville, man, College Football Network and the coverage you guys provide.
Yeah, so College Football Network, we are in the midst of draft season. We are rebranding to College Sports Network so that we can cover, the college baseball, college basketball, things like that. So we are in the midst of a rebrand there. Really only football and basketball right now, but we're hopefully getting baseball by the time baseball season starts. So we're doing that. Our draft coverage is going to be focused mostly on our G5 guys, our FCS guys. You can find plenty of scouting reports on Travis Hunter out there, but there's probably not a lot of people who knew about Mike Green until last week at the Senior Bowl. So we're here to tell the kind people all about these FCS guys, all about these G5 guys, and even some of these Power 4 guys that might not get the accolades of some of their peers. So lock into College Sports Network. We'll have coverage all the way up to and through the draft. And, hopefully we will, teach you something about some guys that you probably haven't heard of.
Will Helms, College Sports Network. Will, I know you're busy, man. Thank you as always for the time. Let's hopefully do this again in a couple of weeks.
Awesome. Sounds great. Thanks, Ryan.
This just in on Hacker After Dark.
And thank you again to Will Helms of College Football Network. Want to update you guys on this. Now, again, I would be lying to you if I said that I knew a lot about this guy before about a week ago. But the name Nate Shieldhouse had been brought up, the passing game specialist with the Los Angeles Rams, as a potential offensive coordinator here in Jacksonville. Well, in the last 5 minutes, basically, it's come out that Nate Shieldhouse is going to remain with Sean McVay in L.A. What's interesting about that, and I don't know if you guys have noticed this or not, is the lack of offensive coordinator interviews, right? Everything that's been tweeted out from the Jaguars basically in the last, 72 hours has been general manager related. They have not sent a lot of stuff about requests for the OC position, or we've interviewed this guy for offensive coordinator. And that just kind of leapfrogged to my mind, basically, when Shieldhouse announced he's remaining in L.A. At this point, it's probably going to be one of two guys, and one of them would be absolutely hilarious. It's going to be either, is it Grant Udinski? Udinski, the 28-year-old boy genius from Minnesota, 28 years old, mind you. I think he's interviewed in like 5 different locations for offensive coordinator positions this year. 28, which is just wild to think about. I know they have talked to him. The other one would be just funny at this point. And that's Kevin Carberry. And who's Kevin Carberry, you say? Well, Kevin Carberry is the offensive line coach in Tampa. Kevin Carberry worked with Liam Cohen when he was in Los Angeles with the Rams. And Kevin Carberry went to Tampa in 2024 in large part because he wanted to work again with Liam Cohen. Now, if you'll remember, Cohen requested permission from the Bucs to interview Carberry for the O-line coach here in Jacksonville. Tampa Bay declined that. They rejected it because the Bucs are still mad with Cohen. Plus, it's basic practice in the NFL that you don't let guys leave for parallel jobs. But if Cohen wanted to bring Carberry here as the offensive coordinator, there is nothing Tampa Bay could do about that. So we'll see what happens. One of the problems, it's not really a problem, but one of the obvious things to state here is that Liam Cohen is going to be the primary play caller. He said as much in his press conference. He's going to call the plays as the head coach of this football team. So, still a very good job, a very desired job, but if you want to be an offensive coordinator and you're not going to call the plays, maybe that doesn't make Jacksonville as appealing as it normally would be. So, again, Nate Shieldhouse, did not know who he was a week ago, did some research on him, seemed fine to me. If they would have hired Nate Shieldhouse, I would have been on board. But he takes his name out of the running. He's going to remain in L.A. with McVay and the Rams. So I think at this point, you're looking at Grant Udinski, the 28-year-old from Minnesota that's interviewed everywhere. Or, again, you're looking at Kevin Carberry, the O-line coach in Tampa, which would be interesting because, again, Carberry would not have to call the plays. He would be the offensive coordinator in theory, but his primary job, of course, would be on the offensive line. We'll see what happens. We'll come back, a little more NFL talk, and I want to get in to what has been a wild NBA trade deadline. The trade deadline is at 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. There are a ton of moves. Luka Doncic to the Lakers is still sending shockwaves throughout the sports world. That is crazy that happened. We'll talk a little NBA coming up at the bottom of the hour as we roll on a Wednesday evening here in Northeast Florida. It's 1010XL and it's 92.5 FM. It's Hacker After Dark.
Some situations call for mystery.
Yes. The answer would be...
And sometimes they call for 1010XL.
Bingo.
It's another exciting local sports day on the First Coast. Listen for 1010XL National Signing Day updates all day. Brought to you by Baker Glass. No one treats you better on Jacksonville Sports Radio 1010XL.
I'm Chris Campione. In a world of big box law firms with satellite offices, there's something special about having a local legal team that cares about you and your community. We're not just lawyers, we're your neighbors. We understand the unique challenges facing the Jacksonville community because we live here too. At Campione Law, Campione Cares isn't just a tagline. It's our commitment to you. Campione Law, your trusted lawyers after an accident. CampioneLaw.com.
Count on Campione, Campione Law.
Mia here for MyBookie. It's finally here. A game so big we're not even supposed to say the name, where the Kansas City Chiefs take on the Philadelphia Eagles at the Caesars Superdome. This isn't just the biggest game of the year, it's the ultimate betting event. If you are not on MyBookie, you are missing out on the action. Big game betting with MyBookie goes beyond just picking the winner. We've got all the wild props for this epic showdown. Will it be heads or tails for the coin toss? What color will the Gatorade for the drenching of the winning coach be? Even the length of the national anthem are up for bets at MyBookie. They love giving you options to bet on everything. Make it easy to win and even easier to get paid with MyBookie, whether you deposit with crypto or credit. Bonuses await. And our new loyalty program gives you cash back just for playing. Bet on big game boosted parlays, live betting, and jackpots that can turn small bets into big wins. Why just watch when you can own the big game? Sign up with MyBookie now using promo code 1010XL and get your 50% sign-up bonus to kick things off. Bet anything, anytime, from anywhere with MyBookie.
Hey, this is Bert Cannon with the First Coast YMCA. Youth sports at the Y can help nurture your future athlete's potential and experience the joy of being a kid. At the Y, we're providing a safe, clean, and fun environment with basketball, soccer, volleyball, gymnastics, elite skills training, and more. Best of all, participation in Legacy Youth Sports League is free with your family membership. Visit fcymca.org to learn all about youth sports at the Y.
Dr. Kevin Murphy with Southeast Orthopedic Specialist, congratulating our Scholar Athlete of the Week.
Ben Krause, senior captain of the varsity basketball team at Paxton High, was a member of the all-academic team last year. Ben is an AP scholar with honors in foreign languages and world history.
Need cash? Beaches Jewelry and Pawn has cash, and they're ready to buy guitars, surfboards, jewelry, firearms, tools, and especially gold. And gold market prices are at a record high. Get cash on the spot at Beaches Jewelry and Pawn in Jacks Beach.
This is Greg Huntington, a.k.a. The Mangler. I'm on the winning team at Waste Management. WM is the largest sustainability company in North America. If your business needs sustainable environmental services for waste removal and recycling collection, then you can count on the industry leader of WM to deliver results. Your services will be completed in a timely, safe, and eco-friendly manner. Go to WM.com/Duval. That's WM.com/Duval and get signed up today. If anyone can talk trash, it's the Mangler.
Lauren Brooks here. Tuesday, February 11th is a very special day in Jacksonville. It's JU Day. Join us as 1010XL broadcasts live all day long from the Kenny Center on the beautiful campus of Jacksonville University. Incredible auction items will be available throughout the day to raise money for JU Athletics.
Daly's Dash is not only your Jaguars game day stop, but a great place to grab a meal any day of the week. To honor the Jags and the fans, we've crafted the Duval sub. The Duval comes with freshly sliced turkey, ham, melted cheddar, and habanero jack cheese, topped with crisp lettuce, fresh tomatoes, and a double portion of our secret sauce, all served on a fresh roll. Come by your local's Daly's Dash today to get your delicious Duval sub. Daly's is the official convenience store sponsor of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Bueller, stay cooler with Bueller.
Hey, pal, what's the matter?
I don't know about this air conditioner, Jason.
You know, my job is actually to...
I mean, 1 minute it's working, and the next minute it's not working. And every time I leave the house, I don't know if I'm coming back to a nice, cool oasis or a steaming cesspool of sweaty garbage fumes and dog farts, and then I'll never get to sleep. And I'll be too late to call someone. And what if I've got a big meeting the next morning and I haven't slept a wink?
Okay, dude. Stay cool. Or at least stay cooler.
But
Bueller Air and Plumbing can figure out why your AC only works sometimes and not all the time. We fix that kind of stuff every day.
You mean you can...
Life moves pretty fast. If you spend all your time worrying about an air conditioner that can totally be fixed, you could miss it.
Stay cooler with Bueller.
Visit BuellerAir.com.
Prosser here, still telling you about Lifetime Enclosures and Lifetime Flooring. Lifetime Enclosures is keeping the sale going into February. Enclosures starting at only $89 a month, and if you get a complete enclosure done, you get free flooring. If you just need flooring, Lifetime Flooring is running a buy one room, get the second room free. Now offering floor coating for that garage or patio deck too. Give them a call or visit their showrooms just off Phillips Highway. Proud partners of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Don't miss the big game specials at Southern Steer Butcher. Check out our website for the big game snack attack, party combo, sampler combo, and the best buffalo dip you've ever had.
For tasty tips and juicy breasts, choose Southern Steer Butcher.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
All right, a couple of things that have transpired in the last 90 minutes or so. The Florida Gators reportedly are about to hire a third defensive coordinator, from what it looks like. Robert Bala of Washington is going to come in and coach, be a co-DC, and I believe the linebacker coach. They added Vinny Sunseri last week. His title is co-defensive coordinator. And, of course, they still have Ron Roberts there. Austin Armstrong is gone, but I've never seen a team with three co-defensive coordinators before, which is interesting. And within the last 15 minutes, Nate Scheelhaus, who was thought to be one of the favorites, I guess. And what's funny about this is we really don't know, but the thought was, because of his connection with Cohen in L.A., that Scheelhaus, when you connect the dots, we being media, fans, the speculation was that Scheelhaus was one of the favorites for the Jaguar OC job. He announces he's coming back to McVay's staff with L.A. Scheelhaus might not have ever been on Cohen's radar. He gave him an interview because he's a buddy. I mean, we have absolutely no idea. Having said that, I think now you're looking at probably two guys for the offensive coordinator position. As we mentioned earlier, Grant Udinski, the 28-year-old whiz kid from Minnesota that is interviewed with like 5 different organizations. I think you're looking at him potentially. We know he has interviewed here. And then I go back to Kevin Carberry, the offensive line coach in Tampa, worked with Cohen in L.A., came to Cohen last year to work with Cohen in Tampa in 2024. Cohen tried to bring him to Jacksonville as the O-line coach. Tampa blocked that, but Tampa could not do anything about this. If Cohen wants to hire him as the offensive coordinator, Kevin Carberry is going to be the Jaguar offensive coordinator. Tampa cannot block a promotion. So another interesting twist in this reality TV series that is known as the Jaguar offseason, which as of today is officially 1 month old. A lot going on with the Jaguars, and there's a ton going on in the association. The NBA, the trade deadline tomorrow at 3 o'clock. Boy, the Luka Doncic to L.A. trade is still unbelievable. There's been some more big trades. Chris Middleton, all-star from Milwaukee, gets traded today to Washington for Kyle Kuzma. What else is going to happen? What's going to happen with Jimmy Butler? Is Kevin Durant potentially on the move in the next 24 hours? Let's talk about the NBA. Let's talk about the trade deadline. Let's talk about the struggles of my Orlando Magic. I don't know how everybody's healthy and they're playing their worst basketball of the year. Go figure. My man Zach Hanshu of Roto World, covering the NBA, has covered it for years. He joins us next. Wednesday night, Jacksonville, Florida, with Dylan Denmark. The hacker Ryan Green with you as we roll on till 8 o'clock in for Blue tonight right here on Hacker After Dark.
Some people think he's Italian. Maybe he is.
I take everything.
Fat Tony on Jaguars Today with Mike Dempsey. Weekdays from 10 to noon on 1010XL.
Rick Ballou for Carlson Dental. You know, I've been telling you this for quite some time because it's true. I hate going to the dentist, or at least I used to hate going to the dentist. I had total anxiety, and then I tried sedation, light sedation for cleaning and deep sedation as well for cavities and root canals. Folks, it's an incredible experience. So don't be nervous. Don't be scared. Go to CarlsonDentalGroup.com. That's CarlsonDentalGroup.com for all of your dental needs.
This is head coach Matthew Driscoll from the UNF men's basketball team. When our players suffer an orthopedic injury, Southeast Orthopedic Specialists gets our players back on the court pain-free.
We appreciate the endorsements from our high school and college coaches. This is Dr. Kevin Murphy. The next time you need orthopedic care, you can rely on our team at Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
Relieve pain and get back to life. Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
Give a unique gift this Valentine's Day to that special person in your life with a custom-made candle or body care product from Wick, a candle bar. Locations in San Marco and Jax Beach.
Are you 18 years or older, just got married, just got divorced, or have children? Listen up. Have you done your last will and estate planning? If you have questions, call Matt Henson with the Henson Law Firm. Reach him at 527-1700. Office is Jacksonville, Florida. And don't let the state decide your fate.
Join me, Max Fink, as I keep a close eye on everything that happens in Gator Nation.
The Gator Report, polished up by San Jose Collision on the home of the Florida Gators, 1010XL.
Go Gators! Looking for a great place to enjoy some craft creations and soak up some scenery? Fernandina's Mocama Beer Company is a must-see and must-try. Nassau County knows it. Visitors need to find out about it. Mocama means near the big water where the sun is born. And if you visit their tap room in Fernandina Beach, you'll see how they've mastered equal parts precision and art in creating great flavors from IPAs to Pilsners, lagers, and sours, plus plenty more. Mocama.com, Mocama Beer Company. Start an adventure and find them in Fernandina.
No two people learn the exact same way. So how did Babbel become the award-winning language learning app? We thought of you, all of you. Take Sierra. As a visual learner, she uses Babbel's wordplay videos.
Today I'll share a quick lesson on shopping in French.
Merci beaucoup. Keith is a be in the room with real people kind of learner. So he loves the live online classes with our language experts.
Okay, class. Vos está pronto.
Estamos prontos.
However you learn, Babbel makes it easy. Try Babbel for free at Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
What could you do with an extra $75,000 right now, or even a couple $100,000? If you own a home, you can get that money in less than a week with Loan Pronto. Hey, Prosser here. Loan Pronto is the leader in quickly converting your home equity into cold, hard cash, so you can pay off all your credit cards or start that home remodel. Loan Pronto has several easy options to let you access the cash from your home. There's virtually no paperwork, no cumbersome process, no junk fees, often no appraisals. Listen, the average homeowner now has over $300,000 in equity. That's your money. Use it. One client got $150,000 out and paid off all their credit cards, 2 car loans, and a personal loan, cutting their monthly expenses by $1,500. You can get approved in as little as 1 day, so act now with no hard credit pull up front. LoanPronto.com or 904-999-1508. Get the money you need for anything at 904-999-1508 or just go to LoanPronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
It all begins with Speed Weeks, presented by Advent Health, February 12th through 16th. The Daytona 500 is sold out, but you can still win a 4-pack of tickets to all the other Speed Weeks races. What driver won the 2024 Daytona 500? Text the driver's last name to 641-1010. What driver won the 2024 Daytona 500? For a chance to win a 4-pack of tickets to the Speed Weeks races, text the driver's last name to 641-1010.
I'm here with Clayton Bromberg, the president of Underwoods. Clayton, I know you're the head diamond buyer at Underwoods, and you travel to the markets to buy diamonds. Why don't you just look at an emailed list and have them send you the diamond?
Frank, there are a couple of reasons we go straight to the source when we're selecting the diamonds we want to put the Underwood name on. First, as an expert diamond buyer, I have to see a diamond before I can really judge its beauty versus the price it's being offered at. Second, when we're at the source, we have huge selections to choose our diamonds from, so we don't have to compromise the Underwood quality standard. The result is we control what goes into our diamond stock instead of allowing a diamond dealer to send us what he wants us to have. The bottom line is we're able to offer our customers carefully selected, beautiful diamonds that we're proud to have carry the Underwood name.
Underwoods, serving excellence since 1928 in San Marco, Avondale, and the shops of Ponte Vedra.
February is Cancer Prevention Month, and Ackerman Cancer Center will help you take charge of your well-being. Their new location at World Golf Village off I-95 now provides screenings for prostate, bladder, and colorectal cancers. Visit AckermanCancerCenter.com.
Instant Keys. You don't have to go to the dealer. Instant Keys comes to you. For lost or broken keys or nearly any make and model of vehicle, call 722-1111 for Instant Keys Locksmith Service.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Back here on 1010XL at 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. Boy, what a weekend in the NBA. Are you kidding me? Arguably the most surprising NBA trade in the history of the NBA. And I don't think I'm overstating that. Luka Doncic in the middle of Saturday night / Sunday morning traded to the Los Angeles Lakers. It was so bizarre that people thought NBA insiders were hacked on social media. No one believed it. They had to send out a couple of tweets verifying that it was actually true. If that wasn't enough, there was another huge trade that went down on Sunday involving De'Aaron Fox and Zach LaVine. And the Orlando Magic are finally getting healthy, and they're playing their worst basketball of the year. What is going on with that? There's a lot to get into with that. Zach Hanshu of Roto World. He's one of our guys when it comes to covering the NBA, and he's always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL. Zach, how we doing, man?
Doing great, man. What an exciting weekend.
It was wild. You do this for a living, covering the association. So I was watching the Royal Rumble Saturday night, Zach. Normally I'm asleep by then. I'm one of the oldest 41-year-olds on the planet, but I just happened to be awake. And when that timeline came across my social media window that Luka Doncic was traded to L.A., I honestly thought that a couple of guys had been hacked. That wasn't real. What was your reaction when you first saw it on Saturday night?
My initial reaction was the same thing as I think most people's were. I've never seen Shams or any other reporter, for that matter, have to tweet out, yes, this is 1,000% real. Nobody was hacked. Because something like this just doesn't happen. I mean, this is, I was talking to my father-in-law about this, and his analogy was, this is the equivalent of trading Patrick Mahomes in season, and I think there's a big ring of truth to that. This just doesn't happen.
Yeah, it's a good comparison. There's a lot of branches here. Let's begin with the most important question. Why? Why would the Dallas Mavericks do this?
I don't know. I mean, short answer, I don't know, because it's just on its face, it's ludicrous. I keep waiting to hear some sort of scandalous story come out about Luka Doncic behind the scenes, about some inappropriate behavior or something that he had fallen out with management or the locker room. Otherwise, this just seems to be completely baffling. Moving him is one thing, but they didn't even start a bidding war for him. I mean, the amount that some teams like the Spurs or the Thunder would have given to acquire him, they could have gotten far more than what they got.
And I'm not overstating that, what I said at the top, right? I mean, arguably, this is the most shocking trade in the history of the NBA.
Oh, absolutely. There's no way to overstate that at all. This was completely baffling to trade a guy at his age, in his prime, MVP candidate, who just took his team to the NBA Finals. And, what the justification that they came out with was he's a few pounds overweight. We're concerned about his conditioning. It's just inexcusable.
Zach Hanshu of Roto World, and that's where I want to go next. I mean, no one on the planet, professionally speaking, knows Luka Doncic better than the Dallas Mavericks. So unless they know something that we don't, which is plausible on the surface, this is just a wild, bizarre situation. Now, they do get Anthony Davis back, Max Christie, who's a nice player, and 1 first-round pick. The Lakers are the big part of this story. We'll get to them in a moment. From a Dallas point of view, I mean, Anthony Davis didn't chop the liver, right? I mean, the Mavericks are still going to be competitive this year, are they not?
They'll still be competitive this year, but you go from having, arguably a top 2 or 3 player in the league to, you're right, Anthony Davis is a top 10 guy, but you still keep waiting for that other shoe to drop with him. He was the healthiest he's been in years last year. And you wonder how long he can sustain that. Maybe he's better in Dallas. Maybe he gets moved to the 4 like he's been requesting. He plays alongside Gafford at the 5. I think that's a great fit for Davis and Gafford. So I like that team defensively. But, I mean, you still have to score the basket. You still have to facilitate. I don't see them being as competitive as they would have been with Luka Doncic.
From a Lakers point of view, Zach, they're the team that everybody's talking about here. Luka to L.A., and I guess one of the big stories has really nothing even to do with Luka. It's the question on whether LeBron knew about this or not before it came out Saturday night, and there is still some question about that, which is turning into sort of a big story.
everything that Shams and others have reported is this was done. I think the quote is in the shadows, and nobody knew it was coming. Luka didn't know. AD didn't know. I find it very, very shocking. I find it hard to believe that LeBron wouldn't have known about that. Supposedly JJ Redick knew, and him and LeBron obviously are very close, talking constantly. I find it very surprising that a guy of LeBron's caliber would have no idea that this was coming. And I honestly, I can't believe that that's the case.
What will Luka Doncic bring to the Los Angeles Lakers?
Stability, franchise cornerstone, and a transition plan. I mean, between Kobe and LeBron, those were some of the worst years in Lakers history. I mean, they were not competitive. They put out a terrible product. Even at the end when Kobe was still available, they weren't winning many games. So you had no runway after this. It was, the 32-year-old Anthony Davis, who's obviously going to start declining here in the coming years, questions about his health. LeBron, obviously, how much longer is he going to play? 1, maybe 2 more years? And now you get a guy in his mid-20s who's just entering his prime, can sign a big extension. You can keep him around for the next decade and keep the Lakers in title contention for years to come. This was a franchise-altering move for the Lakers, who really seemed to have no clear path forward beyond LeBron and AD.
A couple more for Zach Hanshu of Roto World. Final Luka Lakers Mavericks question. Like you alluded to earlier, I mean, the Lakers have Austin Reeves. They got Dalton Knecht. They have an additional first-round pick that didn't even go back to Dallas. I mean, the wild thing here is that Dallas did not get what they probably should have gotten. You look at what Mikal Bridges went for. You look what De'Aaron Fox went for. We'll talk about that here in a moment. I'm not saying they gave Luka Doncic away, Zach, because we talk about Anthony Davis. Max Christie's a decent player as well. But everything they left on the table on the surface, again, is just wild and bizarre.
Yeah, I don't think it's unreasonable to say that they did give them away because they did. They did not go out and shop for multiple first-round picks. They didn't shop for younger talent. If this is a move where they really think that they can be competitive now and more competitive with Anthony Davis than with Luka Doncic, to me that just seems like a matter of incompetence. And if you're not trying to rebuild for the future, then what are you doing? At least you're in the middle of the season right now. Try to give it one more run with Luka. Any sort of deal that you would have been contemplating is going to be on the table in the summer. And then you have a chance to, again, get that bidding war going and maybe have some additional discussions with other teams. The timing of it just made no sense.
If Luka to the Lakers was a 10 on the Richter scale as far as NBA trades go, I'd say probably a 6 or a 7 is what happened 24 hours later, right? De'Aaron Fox to San Antonio. He teams up with Victor Wembanyama. I mean, Zach LaVine, who's an all-star caliber player in his own right, he goes back to Sacramento in a 3-team deal. What did you make of the big trade that went down on Sunday?
Yeah, that was another, less than 24 hours after we got the Luka news, we got this one. And yeah, this was pretty significant too. I don't think it moves the needle much for Sacramento. Fox was a great scorer and facilitator. It just wasn't working out in Sacramento. And obviously Zach LaVine, the Bulls are trying to move on from their big three. So now 2 of those are gone, and obviously LaVine and DeRozan are reunited back in Sacramento. But I don't really feel like this moves the needle for the Kings much. I think for the Spurs, again, another franchise-altering move to get a guy, still in his 20s, still in his prime, and a guy that can sign, again, another massive extension and become a cornerstone piece with Wemby for years to come. And people talk about Wembanyama, maybe making the Spurs an attractive free agency destination. Well, you got him and Fox. You got some decent young role players, potentially CP3 for as long as he's around as kind of that mentor, which I think will be great for De'Aaron Fox there as well. I think all of a sudden the Spurs become a very, very attractive destination. And this team all of a sudden is, maybe playoff bound for years to come.
Trade deadline at the end of the week. Obviously, we won't see anything like Luka to the Lakers. That's a Category 5 as far as NBA trades go, probably all time. But we mentioned the big one with Fox and Levine on the move. Anything else we should be looking out for? You mentioned Vucevic in Chicago. That's certainly a name. We've talked about Brandon Ingram in New Orleans. What will happen with Jimmy Butler, if anything? What should we be looking for in the next 48 to 72 hours?
Yeah, I at this point, we got that news from Wendy yesterday that Butler told Golden State that he will not sign with them. He tanked his chances to end up with that team, which I think would have been a phenomenal fit. So at this point, I think there's a short list of teams that may want to trade for him, but I think probably a lot of GMs are turned off by his antics, the way he's behaved in Miami, the number of teams he's played for, and his availability. Health concerns obviously play a part in this as well. So I wouldn't be surprised if he's still with Miami at the end of the week. And the same is true for Bradley Beal, whose contract is, really it's turned into an albatross at this point based on his production. So, and he has the no trade clause, which, if I'm him and I have a $57 million player option for next year, probably not waiving that trade clause. I'll probably stay in Phoenix and collect my paycheck. I think moves that are realistic. I think the Lakers make a move for a big man. They target somebody like a Nick Claxton, maybe a Walker Kessler if they can pry him away from the Jazz. They make a move, maybe John Collins from the Jazz. Utah has an abundance of big men on their roster, so maybe the Lakers make that kind of move. Cam Johnson from Brooklyn, obviously one of the best 3-and-D guys that's on the market right now. He could go to OKC, which has been a pretty big rumor, but obviously anybody in title contention will want to grab him. And then Brandon Ingram, I think the Pelicans, it's a lost season. They're trying to unload some salary and look forward. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him on the move as well. So nothing earth-shattering, but some meaningful moves could definitely be made.
Final moment, Zach Hanshu of Roto World covering the NBA. Zach, all season long, Orlando decimated by injury, yet kept their head above water, played well. And guys like me were saying, man, if they're this good now, just wait till Banchero comes back. Wait till Wagner comes back. Wait till these guys get healthy. And a majority of them are healthy now. The only one they're really missing is Suggs. And they're playing maybe their worst basketball of the year. Now, Franz Wagner has been a stud. Banchero has been awful for the last week. I don't know what on earth is going on there. I mean, how surprised should Orlando fans around here be at what's going on right now?
Yeah, I think there should be a little bit of surprise, but I think maybe we could have seen the writing on the wall a little bit. Orlando's offense has been, it's been dreadful all season. It was bad last year. Their second worst offensive rating in basketball. They're just half a point better than Washington over the last 10 games, which, if you look at how bad Washington is, that's a pretty low benchmark for Orlando. Their saving grace all season has been their defensive rating. They're ranked third in defensive rating this season in total, but over the last 10 games, 21st. And so you can bail yourself out of some situations by being competitive with your defense, even if you're not scoring the basket much. But, over the last 10 games, if you're 21st in defensive rating and you're still not scoring anymore, even with your guys back and healthy, that's a major, major concern. So unless the defense starts stepping up, or unless Orlando makes a move to acquire some three-point shooting, or some guys who can maybe score the basket and take some pressure off of Wagner and Banchero, it's going to be rough sailing for them, I think.
Yeah, it has not been good. It's such a surprise, too, man, because, again, they battled and they were 6-7 games above 500, even with a depleted roster. Guys come back, and they're worse now than they were when the guys were out. It's truly puzzling. Zach Hanshu of Roto World. Zach, I know it's been a very busy time for you. We certainly appreciate you spending some of your free time with us. Thank you as always, my friend.
Absolutely, man. Take care.
Now the cool down with Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing, keeping Jack's cool since '87.
And thank you to Zach Hanshu of Roto World for joining us tonight here on Hacker After Dark. Even though it's been, 4 days now, I guess, 3.5 days, the Luka Doncic trade to Los Angeles is still absolutely wild. Maybe the most shocking trade in the history of the league. And again, I don't think that's overstating the just shock value that surfaced in the NBA circles Saturday night into Sunday morning. And then, look, you've had another big trade. De'Aaron Fox to San Antonio to join Wemby. Zach LaVine to Sacramento. I believe he makes his Sacramento debut tonight against my Orlando Magic, so that should be a lot of fun. You had another big trade that went down earlier today with Chris Middleton going from Milwaukee to Washington for Kyle Kuzma. So it has been a very, very active NBA trade deadline, and the deadline reaches its climax tomorrow, as we'll see if any more deals transpire here over the next 20 hours or so. So we appreciate Zach Hanshu of Roto World joining us tonight to talk a little association with us here on Hacker After Dark. But certainly a majority of the time was spent talking Jaguars, talking Liam Cohen, talking Tony Baselli, and all the newness here in Jacksonville, all the unbelievable change. Keep in mind, the regular season ended 1 month ago. It has been 1 month since the Jaguars played the Indianapolis Colts in Week 18, and think about how different things feel here in just 1 month's time. It has been a wild month when it comes to following the Jacksonville Jaguars. Well, that will just about do it. We certainly appreciate you guys hanging out with us here on a Wednesday evening here on Hacker After Dark, in for Baloo tonight on 1010XL and on 92.5 FM. We have a ton of people to thank. And Zach Hanshu, one of our NBA guys from Roto World. Thank you to Will Helms of College Football Network for joining us, not only to talk a little Florida and Florida State offseason, but Will is one of the main draft guys at College Football Network, and I thought he had a really interesting perspective on the Jaguars, on Mason Graham and Will Johnson, both Michigan guys that you see mocked to Jacksonville very often. Really appreciate Will taking time out for us, as we'll certainly amp up our draft talk as the days and weeks go by. And back at hour number one, my buddy Leon Searcy, former Pro Bowl offensive tackle for the Jacksonville Jaguars. You hear him every day on Primetime. We get him also weekly here on Hacker After Dark, as we talked Liam Cohen. We talked about his former teammate, Tony Baselli, now being the EVP of football operations for the Jaguars. And we certainly previewed Super Bowl 59 coming up this Sunday between Kansas City and Philadelphia. Now, we will be back tomorrow night on a Thursday, and we will do it all over again beginning at 8 o'clock. Dylan Denmark was your producer tonight. Dylan, great job as always. I'm the hacker, Ryan Green. And again, Jacksonville, thank you for spending part of your Wednesday evening with us right here on Hacker After Dark on 1010XL and on 92.5 FM.
Baloo here for Smunez Vision. Why Smunez Vision? Well, I've been with Dr. Neil Smunez now since I got back to Jacksonville in 2006. 37 years of experience he has.